Assalamu alaikum. And well, the first thing that I want to say is that it's been hard for me. It's been extremely hard for me to do broadcasts because, um, long story short, I was living in New York and then I'm still there. I'm back and forth traveling. I went to Saudi Arabia and then I came back and then I'm in a different state. Then I went back to New York. So, I mean, my residence is technically right now it's all over the place, but primarily in between New York and sometimes I'll visit out of state. And so, anyhow, I don't want to get into it, but I've just been really up to my neck busy. I there's so much going on. Oh my goodness. Anyways, so. But I hope, I mean, because before I know that I was doing like 2, 3, 4 broadcasts in a day even. And I was able to accumulate so many videos and so much information because it was just me, that I was able to focus on. Now I just have so much going on, so my time is really divided between everything, between, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and between home and between, when I was working and all these things. So I mean, I had a lot going on. So forgive me if I'm not able to keep up with my broadcasts. Anyway, so I'm gonna get straight into it. These are some of the things that I I was coming across in the world today, in terms of how people really look at Muslims, and it could be anyone. We just kind of have this type of image where, okay, we just according to whatever's going on in the planet, it's just we just like to fight. That's the image that's been given to us. But if you look at history, you understand from the beginning of time. If you look at the scriptures, you see Cain and Abel. You see Habl and Gabel, and then you see Allah Subhanahu wa Taala having a conversation with the angels, and then I don't know if I covered this in the previous broadcast, but I don't remember. Okay, so I'm going to cover it again. Just this ayah, and then I'm going to give you some new information and something to ponder. There's a discussion between Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the angels where the angels are saying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, regarding, this got to be about humans. I can only imagine this is about humans. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that, He's going to send a Khalifa in this dunya. You understand? I forgot. I don't even know if I said Assalamu alaikum, astaghfirullah. Assalamu alaikum. I think I did. I think I'm forgetting, man. This is crazy. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir. It's just maybe I haven't done a broadcast in forever, so I'm kind of nervous at the same time. I'm all over the place. That could be the reason why, right? Anyhow, coming back with my thoughts all over the place. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is having a discussion with the angels, and the angels, He's telling the angels that He's going to send a Khalifa on the earth, right? He's talking about Adam al-Islam, right? So, the messenger on earth. So then the angels respond with, but they cause transgression and vice. Okay. While we worship and praise you all day and night, right? So pretty much angels are saying, okay, while we praise you, worship, we praise and worship you day and night, here you're sending a Khalifa upon the earth, and whilst they are creating transgression, or they are going to create transgression and vice upon the earth, right? So now we see that put out there, and then of course, what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala responds with, but you do not know that which I know. Something of the sort, right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is just straight up telling them that you don't know what I know. So technically trying to give them the idea that, okay, I know what you do not know, rather, right? So there's something I know that you don't know, in terms of telling the angels, in a nice way, just summarizing, like, easy, I got this, I know what I'm doing, because Allah is, Allah has the ilm, He's the expert, He's a wise, right? So now what's happening here is that we see this. So the transgression and vice, of course, from my understanding of it, has also something to do with human beings too, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does say the majority of us are wicked. It's not only in Christianity that it's taught that, humans are, sinning from the beginning, they're sinful. Actually, in a different light, in the light of the final testament in the Quran, it's that, yes, our hearts, are inclined towards wickedness too, and that the majority of us are wicked. And that's within our nafses. Our nafses are wicked. When again, we're talking about previous scriptures of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala all saying the same thing, was it called the same ideology from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It says sunnati of Allah never changes. You understand? Never changes. It comes in terms of similar or better. But the rules that are basic, they don't change. You understand? Basic rules do not change, because why would basic laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala change in terms of He's Hakim, He's wise, and even if He does, supposedly He does, astaghfirullah, what's it called, at any point of time, we're not going to go back because Allah knows best as in why He's doing everything that He's doing, right? So I'm not even going to go that far to say that, but now we identify two things here. When we are identifying the fact that according to even history of Habil al-Kabil, right, as per Islam, right, and as per previous to that, of course, even if we look into Christianity, or look previously even before that, although even back to Egyptian, although Egyptian mythology has really nothing to do with this, although I'm pretty sure they were sent a book too, right? So at the end of the day, we see the same story between the brothers since the beginning of time, having a fight. And that's been like that since first man walked on earth, right? And their kids. So from that, supposedly from that time till now, this is just in human nature. You understand? And what else is in human nature? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us one more thing. He says, and the fact that you do not like to fight. You don't like to fight. You understand? The majority of you don't like to fight. If you had a choice, you wouldn't fight. But here's what happens next. Okay. Now, when that verse comes around to talking about the Muslims of today and why we are looked upon as those people whom are fighting, in Syria, or fighting in Iraq, or fighting elsewhere in the planet, okay? This is a verse from the Quran, right? This is the verse that people point fingers at. So I want to go ahead and kind of expand on this, right? So let me expand by telling you that it is in human nature, in history, proven that there has been every nation on the planet, right, that has fought, technically, right? Or the people of that nation have fought. There's majority of the nations of the planet have fought, or they have been inclined towards fighting, or some of that sort. Now, that's one. It's happened already. Okay, it's proven, it's in human nature to do so. This is what it is. Number two. There's also another part to human nature which God clarifies and says, okay, we know you do not like to fight. Okay. I'm assuming this has got to be for the the good ones, right? The ones with the good hearts, right? They don't want to fight. They want to stay out of trouble, right? Not only that, even the ones whom, we see in terms of the battles, right? Even those whom were not believers till the end, or not Muslims till the end, the hypocrites and the munafiquns, even though they don't like to fight. Why? Because they're chickened out. Because we see in the Quran, we also see the story about the people who turned on their heels and they ran away, right, during the battlefield, because they don't like to fight. They're not, I guess you could say, not man enough to fight, right? So where is this verse that where am I getting at? Okay, this verse where it says in the Quran, but fighting is prescribed for you. Although we know that you don't like to fight, okay, but perhaps there is in it goodness for you. Something of that sort, right? So pull up the verse. If you already know it, you can pull it up, right? But I want you to look at the Arabic. And I want you to look at it word for word and study those words that are in that Arabic. Okay? That's going to give you a better, and the best meaning in the planet. Even better than the translations. Translations are whatever for me now. Even tafsirs are like whatever for me. Everything is whatever for me. But the pure Arabic is like, that's my number one go-to. That's like, okay, this is it. You know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent it in Arabic, and then this is how you can connect all the dots. If you understand the Arabic, you can look for it word for word. That's a lot better for you. You understand? So that's my number one priority. I've done the rest. I've seen the rest. I've been through the rest, but that's my number one priority. That's another video that we'll talk about, topic of a video that we'll talk about another day. Anyhow, coming back. So, now, why does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say fighting is prescribed for you? Okay, now, I don't make this justified, so don't ever put this out of my mouth. It's just me trying to understand, what's it called, in different manners as to why things in the world are going on today. Why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also says oppression is worse than death. Oppression is worse than death. Now, for example, peace be upon, what's it called, for those who understand what the Jews went through in terms of, what Hitler had done to them in terms of, gas camps, in terms of, just annihilating people, like, in the manner that they did. Do you think that if they had an opportunity, those people had an opportunity to fight back, that they wouldn't have? Of course they would. And then others also fought on their behalf. America had gotten involved. England had gotten involved, I guess. I guess it was England too. Yeah. So other nations couldn't, at some point there was a breaking point where they couldn't see those people being oppressed anymore at all, because oppression was worse than death. What they were going through was oppression. These people were being oppressed in that manner. So these people also fought back, right? So it's not only the Jews, but those who felt, for them fought back. What's another, religion, or what's another group, another race we can see, right? So that was the Jews. We looked at religion. You understand? They fought back for their rights, which is the rights to live. Now we're gonna see another group, which is called the the colored, what's it called, race, right? So we're gonna see the race of black people, right? What's it called? You want to say African American, you want to say whatever. I'm just going to say how people themselves call themselves. We're black folks. Black lives matter. So we're just going to say black, right? So black people, right? In this country, in our country, in the country of America, right? You had even the black people, right? And their race fight back. Why did they fight? Why do we have a civil war? What's it called? Why do we have Martin Luther King Jr. and Rosa Parks and Malcolm X and all these people, what's it called, fight? Why were they fighting? Because, why? Because there was oppression happening. There was oppression. There was injustice happening. They weren't even able to live within the means of norm, right? So when is fighting prescribed for you? When is it? It's when injustice is occurring and you're not even able to live in the norms of being able to deserve the normal, equities of a human, like in terms of justice for a human, or what is it called? A human rights, when you're not even getting your essential human rights. You're being mistreated. You're being, in every which way, like, things that you wouldn't want to happen to you, are being done to somebody else. Things you wouldn't want to happen to somebody else are being done upon you. So vice versa, So that verse clarifies that for me. And it also means that, okay, there is a limit to everything. You understand? Mercy, God's mercy has no end. But when does the limit get cut off? When does Allah's unlimited, mercy, take place? Until an appointed time. Even God has a cutoff for everybody. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows, right, for us to forgive, right, those whom, what's it called, or turn away or distracted or whatever, because that's a last message in the Quran. Actually, it says, tell the believers, the last finalized message, right, is tell the believers to forgive them until the last day, right? But in it is everything that's recommended for you during those situations. So for example, if you are being oppressed, right, there isn't a single person on the planet, I believe, that probably got stung by a mosquito multiple times that hasn't taken out that mosquito, right? What is it called? Even the best of vegans, even the best of most merciful people who have love for animals have taken out a mosquito when they're being bit like 50 billion times and not leaving them alone. So in the same manner, when you were being oppressed to that extent, and they don't leave you alone. I'm not saying that it just doesn't happen. You come across and, what's it called? It's a little bit of a wording of a fight or whatever, But it's somebody who keeps coming after you, trying to annihilate you, trying to murder you, trying to harm you, trying to hurt you. I would say don't take things into your own hands. Who can you seek to for help and guidance in order for that problem to go away? In order for you to not even perhaps have to fight, how can you make that problem go away? What's the best thing that you can do? You can seek to Allah for help and guidance. How? Number one, you can't have no reba fihi, which means doubt. You can't have no doubt that your God can help you in this matter. He can help you in every single matter in the planet, in the dunya, in your life and everything. He can help you with everything and anything. All you gotta do is just believe and keep asking him. He will even lead you to understand his guidance of what he is implicating you to do or for you to understand. The answer will come to you too. The answer to your problem will come to you. Okay, but for this, you must have purity in your heart. There must be no doubt. There must be complete belief that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can help you to sort your problems out unless it is not in his will. Unless there's something else that's in his will. So, there was a problem that was going on with one of my, it was a call for a neighboring business, I believe it was last year, or the year before that, I'm not sure, right? And there was a problem, because it wasn't a problem with me, technically, it was a problem with the business that I'm with, and they were having a hard time, dealing with that, right? So what had happened was I actually prayed. It was so crazy. I actually prayed to God, to keep peace with our neighboring business, because we don't want no problems with them. They're amazing people, but it's just one thing that they were doing that was out of the way, that was irking the rest of them. Us even sometimes would bother me too, but mankind has patience. It's not like it's impossible not to have it. I know we're lacking in patience, but I had a little bit of patience, and I was patient, but less the others were not. And I asked Allah, and I said to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if he could help me with my matter. And guess what? He did. And I couldn't believe this. I mean, I believed in the fact that he could, but I just couldn't believe the fact that it happened. In a good way. So, seek to Allah alone for help, and seek to Allah alone for guidance. And there is nothing in the planet, in the universe, that he cannot do. You understand? So in terms of the fighting being prescribed for you, that's an example I gave you of when it's okay to understand that such a thing is occurring or can occur. Something like this is not impossible, but there's a guideline for even that. You understand? There is a guideline for that, in that manner. So now that's an example. Okay, example number 2. What happens in the system of today? So when it says, okay, for people to be forgiving and to forgive until the last day. So let's just say you something messed up happened, right? Somebody did some really messed up stuff to you, and you just turned away, screw this, right? I'm just going to turn away and I'm going to forgive them here in this dunya. I'm not going to acknowledge them. They don't even exist for me. Bismillah ar-Rahman. Okay. In this dunya, right? In this dunya, what happens, right? If you get a ticket, right, in this dunya, what happens if somebody from the system, the criminal system, the traffic system, whatever, gives you a summons or a ticket? What happens? You immediately have to appear before the courts, right? Immediately have to appear for a summons or a traffic summons or a ticket or this and this and this for whatever the reason. And if you don't, what happens? Oh, snap, you going to jail, right? Or you're going to be in a lot of trouble. You're going to have a huge fine. Well, they're going to pick you up first, and they're going to, they're going to take away your car. They're going to do something totally miserable to you, right? You have to immediately appear. So, this is what happens with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's justice system as well. You understand? For Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, majority of the times, at all times, He is Rauf, He is, Ghafoor, He's Rahman, He's Rahim. But if you are unjust to somebody else, you understand? He sees it, He hears it, He knows it. If you're unjust to Him too, guess what happens? Those repercussions are immediate too. They take time. But they're a lot quicker than the justice that you could probably be, receiving. Yours might take a lot longer than the justice that He might be, in prescribing to you. What on earth do I mean? Okay, what on earth do I mean? Okay, for example, if you do something terrible in the deen, the more terrible, the more wicked you are, the more opportunities He's probably going to give you. You understand? Because you don't understand. If you're a wicked person, you don't understand at all. But He's giving you those opportunities. He doesn't want anyone to fail their test. You understand? He could have just, made us, all